Hello, friend, and welcome to All Access, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the night show with J-Mac. And yes, that is me. I am your host, and I am here and ready to have some fun with you for the next few minutes. And by the way, thank you so very much for giving your time to be here. And I pray that God blesses you with something that is said on here today. Now, what I'm about to share with you, I've talked about this on my show before, and I've even talked about it when I filled in for George, and it was a conversation between me and Mark Packer during the 315 Sports Machine. My family likes to call me Miss $100 Bill. Now, I share all of this with you today, not because I'm trying to point to myself and say, hey, look at me, look what I can do, or look what I do, or look what I did. It's not that at all. In fact, I'm hoping that by sharing this will be encouraging others to be generous. So about 3 years ago, I started making bracelets, hand stamping them, and I would just put words of encouragement on them, whatever God was speaking to my heart. And it was really interesting because how this really first started was I would make these bracelets and I'd put them on for myself. And then I'd go out somewhere and I kid you not, I'd meet somebody or see somebody I haven't talked to in a while, and I just knew that bracelet was for them. And so I would say, hey, I think this is for you. And whatever word was on that bracelet was exactly what they needed to hear. And I mean, I'd see people start crying and just, how did you know? And, you know, like this was so timely. I needed this today. I've had such a bad week, you know, over and over and over again, just testimony after testimony of how these little bracelets with these words would wreck them and were so important to them. In fact, to this day, I still do it. And I'll even talk to people later and say, oh, I actually gave that bracelet to someone else because I felt like it was for them. Can you make me another? And I'll make them another one. And it's just been crazy watching God move and use these bracelets. Because when I first started making them, I was charging for them and selling them on an Etsy account and an eBay account I had set up. And God told me one day, he said, stop selling and start sewing. It all kind of happened around the same time. I started giving the bracelets out, and then he spoke that to me, and so I kept giving them out more and more. And then it kind of led to more than that. It kind of led to giving out money. If I felt like God was telling me to give money, I started giving out money. And then I started carrying little cards with me because it became, if I was going to the store, if I was going to get gas, if I was going to eat, it didn't matter. When I would leave the house, I would make sure there was something in my Mary Poppins bag. And trust me, I could live on the contents of that bag alone in the wilderness for a week. But I would throw those other things in there too, right? And so going out and my kids witnessing me do this, they nicknamed me Miss $100 Bill. Because they have watched me give waitresses or people that, you know, I'm in the store with, or just whoever I feel like God is telling me to sow into, I sow into them. And I want to share that with you, not because I'm trying to point to myself, I promise you that, but you can't outgive God. And the more that I give, the more I swear he gives me, I swear. And so I keep giving more and more. And I don't question it anymore. I used to think, is this really God or is this me? It's God. I've watched way too many of these divine appointments unfold in front of my face where there's a mom who's trying to put food on the table and that extra little bit of money is going to help her. Or there's someone that's trying to take care of their elderly parent. Or there's a dad that's trying to keep the lights on and needs help getting that utility bill paid. I've watched it happen so many times, and it is so amazing to watch God show up and bless people. Because ultimately, we're the church. We're his hands and his feet. And if you feel like you're supposed to sow into somebody, even if it's just with your time, maybe to go over and help them with some yard work because they can't afford to do it or they physically can't. Or maybe you're a mechanic and somebody needs some work on their car. Or maybe, you know, you're a painter and someone needs some work done on their house or their gutters need cleaned or whatever the case may be. Start sowing and watch God move. It's blessing them, but no, it's blessing me. It blesses me more to watch him move and to watch him show up because it's him ultimately. It's a gift from their Heavenly Father, that bracelet with that word that says, you are enough. that card that encourages them, that says, keep trying, keep pushing, because he sees what you're doing. I hope in some way, somehow, anything in this podcast today has blessed you and encouraged you. And until next time, my friend, may the Lord bless you. May he keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious to you and give you peace.